After defeating the French at the Battle of Vimeiro, the British commander Sir Arthur Wellesley marched west to protect the landings of reinforcements near the town of Vimeiro. The French commander, General Junot, had left Lisbon on the 15th of August. At Torres Vedras, he was joined by the divisions of General Delaborde and General Louison, and on the 20th of August they marched to attack the British positions at Vimeiro. On the evening of the 20th of August, Wellesley discovered that a frigate was in the bay, with General Sir Harry Burrard, Wellesley's superior officer, on board. Wellesley went on board and gave Burrard a frank appraisal of the situation. He assessed that he outnumbered the approaching French army, although the French cavalry was significantly stronger, and due to a lack of horses, the French artillery was larger and more mobile than the British. Wellesley's army was also dependent on the British fleet for its supplies. General Burrard ordered that the army should wait for the arrival of Sir John Moore and the reinforcements before commencing with any advance. On the morning of the 21st of August, Wellesley had concentrated his forces on the western ridge, stretching west from the town of Vimeiro to the sea. His left flank occupying the hill in front of Vimeiro town, where he positioned Anstrathers and Fane's brigades. The 20th Light Dragoons with some artillery were encamped on the flat ground to the northwest of Vimeiro, with Trant's Portuguese brigade at Maqueira. The British had approximately 20,000 men, which included 8 infantry brigades, which formed the core of Wellesley's forces, 17 cannons, 240 light cavalry, and approximately 2,000 Portuguese troops. In the early hours, Wellesley was alerted by one of his cavalry patrols that the French army was in the east, within an hour's march of Vimeiro. Wellesley ordered that 3 9-pounder and 3 6-pounder guns be positioned on Vimeiro Hill. Junot arrived at Vimeiro at around 8 a.m. His force consisted of approximately 14,000 men, made up of 2 infantry divisions, a cavalry division, 4 grenadier battalions and 23 cannon. Junot planned to divide his attack with his main force of 3 infantry brigades moving against Vimeiro Hill, while sending Brenier's brigade with some dragoons northwestwards to seize the empty eastern ridge to the northeast of the village and turn the British left flank. Wellesley moved Ackland's brigade up onto the eastern ridge. At around 9 a.m, dust clouds revealed that the French were manoeuvring east of Vimeiro to threaten the British left flank. Wellesley switched Nightingale's, Ferguson's and Bow's brigades from the western ridge to the eastern ridge to counter this threat, and sent Trant's Portuguese brigade to a position overlooking the far end of the eastern ridge. Once Junot realised that the British troops had occupied the eastern ridge, he sent Solignac's brigade to the right to assist Brenier's attack. The French commander decided to launch his attack on Vimeiro immediately, instead of waiting for his flanking manoeuvre to develop. He sent forward 2 columns of massed infantry, which was screened by French skirmishers and supported by artillery. The British replied with artillery fire. To counter the French skirmishers, Fane detached 4 companies of riflemen. However, they were outnumbered by the French and slowly fell back up the hill. On reaching the hill, the French were met by devastating British volley fire, followed by a coordinated bayonet charge which sent the French in full retreat, leaving their guns to be captured and 2 of their generals, Delaborde and Charlot, wounded. On seeing this reverse, Junot committed his grenadier reserve to the attack. As they advanced, the grenadiers come under fire from British howitzers, which inflicted heavy casualties. The first two battalions attacked in the same area as the previous units and were thrown back. The final two Grenadier battalions moved to the right and succeeded in breaking into Vimeiro. But counter-attacked by units of Anstrath's brigade and 4 companies of Ackland's brigade, these Frenchmen were also pushed back. The British Light Dragoons fell upon the retreating Grenadiers and routed them. However, roused by their success, they charged out of control. They encountered a French cavalry division and were routed in turn. As the fighting at Vimeiro Hill was coming to an end, on the eastern ridge, Solignac's and Brenier's divisions were coming into contact with the British forces around the village of Ventosa. Brenier's men had been delayed by taking a longer road to circumnavigate the narrow ravines. So it was Solignac who reached the eastern ridge first. On reaching the crest of the ridge, the French were met by devastating volley fire from Ferguson's 2nd and Nightingale's 3rd brigades. The French ranks at first faltered and then fled as the British brigades advanced. Brenier's division finally arrived on the field of battle, and at first they enjoyed success as they surprised and drove back 2 British brigades. The French pressed on, but soon ran into the 29th Regiment in line and were stopped. The 29th were joined by the 2 other brigades who had quickly rallied. The combined volley fire of the 3 British brigades soon routed Brenier's men. General Brenier was wounded in this attack and captured by the 71st Highlanders. No pursuit of the French was attempted, because Wellesley was superseded by the overly cautious Sir Harry Burrard and then by the equally cautious Sir Hugh Dalrymple, one having arrived during the battle and the second soon after. During the Battle of Vimeiro, the British and Portuguese forces suffered 720 casualties, while the French lost an estimated 2,000 men. After the comprehensive French defeat, Junot offered complete capitulation. However, Dalrymple gave the French very generous terms under the Convention of Sintra, which resulted in the French being transported back to France by the British Navy, complete with its guns, equipment and riches it had plundered from Portugal. This caused a huge outcry in Britain. During the official inquiry that followed, both Dalrymple and Burrard were blamed. Wellesley, who opposed the terms of the convention, was exonerated.